Zara's crystalline form shimmered with barely contained anxiety as she watched the human security specialist approach the three Drachnid warriors. Reyna Blackwood moved with a fluid grace that seemed impossible for a species so new to the galactic stage, her dark skin gleaming with sweat under the harsh binary stars of Helios Prime. "I strongly advise against this course of action," Zara's melodic voice carried across the landing pad, each word creating subtle rainbow refractions through her translucent body. The human was about to face three of the most feared warriors in the galaxy without a single weapon. Reyna turned, her eyes reflecting the determination that had made humanity both feared and admired across the stars. "Protocol is protocol, Ambassador. They want us unarmed for the negotiations." She flashed a grin that displayed none of the concern Zara knew she must be feeling. "Besides, I've got something better than weapons." The Drachnid warriors, towering reptilians with scales that seemed to absorb light itself, collected their weapons with mechanical precision. Zara noticed how their compound eyes lingered too long on her crystalline form, the subtle shifts in their posture that spoke of hidden intent. As they approached the negotiation chamber, a stark structure of obsidian and steel rising from the volcanic landscape, Reyna's stride changed. Zara had spent enough time studying humans to recognize the shift, from diplomatic escort to predator. "Ambassador," Reyna's voice dropped to a whisper, "when I move, head for the ship." Before Zara could respond, the Drachnids revealed their true intentions. Energy weapons materialized from hidden compartments in their armor, but Reyna was already in motion. The human dropped and rolled, snatching up a piece of volcanic rock from the ground. Her first throw caught the lead Drachnid in its primary eye cluster with devastating accuracy. The warrior stumbled, its shot going wide. Zara's crystalline body refracted the energy blast in a spectacular display, but she could only watch in amazement as Reyna continued her assault. The human moved like water, flowing between plasma bursts while using nothing but the local geology as her weapons. The second Drachnid fell to a precisely aimed rock that struck a neural cluster at the base of its skull. The third tried to flank Reyna, but she used the wounded leader as a springboard, launching herself into a flip that ended with another volcanic projectile finding its mark. In less than 30 seconds, three of the galaxy's most feared warriors lay incapacitated, defeated by a human wielding nothing but stones. How? Zara's voice created ripples of light in her astonishment. That should have been impossible. Reyna retrieved one of her rocks, examining it with an almost casual interest. "Humans evolved throwing things, Ambassador. It's written into our DNA. These guys?" She nodded at the fallen Drachnids. "They evolved from ambush predators. They never developed the neural networks for predictive accuracy like we did." A distant alarm began to sound. Zara's crystalline form pulsed with warning colors. "The entire security force will be here soon. Then we should probably go." Reyna's grin returned, wilder now with the thrill of combat still fresh. "Unless you'd like to stay and explain why three of their elite warriors are taking a nap." As they sprinted for their ship, Zara found her perception of humanity shifting. She had known they were resourceful, had read the reports of their rapid advancement since joining the galactic community. But seeing it firsthand, watching a single human defeat three elite warriors with nothing but rocks and ingenuity, made her understand why so many species both feared and admired them. "This will cause a diplomatic incident," Zara noted as they reached the ship, her crystalline form refracting the growing number of searchlights sweeping the landing pad. "Pretty sure that was their plan all along," Reyna replied, already initiating launch sequences. "The question is, who wanted these negotiations to fail badly enough to risk using Drachnid assassins?" Zara's form shifted colors thoughtfully as they broke atmosphere, the volcanic surface of Helios Prime falling away below them. "And why they thought they could succeed against a human." Reyna's laugh filled the cockpit. "That's the thing about humanity, Ambassador. Everyone thinks they know what we're capable of, until we surprise them." The ship disappeared into the star-streaked realm of hyperspace, leaving behind 3 very embarrassed Drachnid warriors and a mystery that would shake the foundations of galactic politics. But for now, Zara could only marvel at how a human had turned simple rocks into weapons more effective than any advanced technology. She was beginning to understand why humans had a reputation for making the impossible possible. The ancient lava tubes beneath Helios Prime's surface glowed with an eerie bioluminescence, casting strange shadows across Reyna's face as she led the way deeper into the planet's crust. Zara's crystalline form provided additional illumination, her anxiety manifesting as pulses of cobalt light that danced across the tunnel walls. "The Drachnid pursuit teams are still following," Zara whispered, her crystalline structure detecting vibrations through the volcanic rock. "They're using thermal tracking." Reyna's lips curved into a knowing smile. "Good thing we're heading into the hottest part of the cave system then. Hard to track heat signatures when everything's burning." The tunnels descended sharply, leading them closer to the planet's active magma chambers. Sweat gleamed on Reyna's dark skin, but she showed no signs of discomfort. Zara marveled at human endurance. Her own crystalline form could withstand the heat, but most organic species would have turned back long ago. "You knew about these tunnels," Zara observed, her voice creating harmonic resonances with the crystal formations they passed. "This wasn't just a random escape route." "Did my homework before we landed," Reyna confirmed, pausing at an intersection to check her wrist computer. "Standard human protocol, always know your exit strategies." The Drachnids built their negotiation center over these caves thinking they were worthless, but their own geological surveys gave me everything I needed. A distant rumble echoed through the passages, followed by the distinctive whine of energy weapons. The pursuit teams were getting closer. "They're using sonic mapping," Zara's colors shifted to warning reds. "The vibrations will dash." "Collapse the tunnels," Reyna finished, already moving. "They're desperate enough to risk bringing down their own facility." "Interesting." They reached a vast chamber where multiple lava tubes converged. Ancient mining equipment lay scattered about, remnants of some long-abandoned operation. The air was thick with sulfurous fumes and mineral dust. "This doesn't make sense," Zara's form pulsed with confusion. "The Drachnids are methodical predators. They don't risk structural damage to their own territories, even in pursuit of prey. Unless they're not really Drachnids," Reyna completed the thought, examining the mining equipment with sudden interest. "The way they moved, how quickly they broke formation when I started throwing rocks, trained warriors don't abandon their combat doctrines that easily." Another sonic blast shook the chamber, closer this time. Crystals tinkled down from the ceiling like deadly rain. Zara watched in fascination as Reyna quickly began dismantling one of the ancient mining devices. "What are you doing?" "Making us an advantage," Reyna replied, her hands moving with practiced efficiency. "These old resonance drills work on the same principle as their sonic mappers. If we can reverse the frequency." Zara's scientific background allowed her to follow the human's logic. "You're going to use their own technology against them." "Again." "It's kind of a human specialty," Reyna grinned, making final adjustments to the jury-rigged device. "That, and throwing rocks." The pursuit team burst into the chamber just as Reyna activated the modified drill. The effect was immediate and devastating. The sonic waves collided with the mapping pulses, creating a cascade of harmonics that sent the attackers' equipment into feedback loops. Their sonic weapons backfired, stunning them with their own amplified frequencies. "Now we know for sure," Reyna said, watching the pursuers clutch their heads in agony. "Real Drachnids have natural dampeners against sonic feedback. These are imposters." Zara's crystalline form vibrated with the conflicting frequencies, creating a dazzling light show that further disoriented their attackers. But who would go to such lengths? Impersonating Drachnid warriors is punishable by death in 3 sectors. "Someone who really didn't want your message getting to the Galactic Council," Reyna replied, already leading them toward another tunnel. "The question is, what's in that diplomatic package that's worth all this?" They emerged into a new passage that sloped upward, the heat gradually becoming less intense. Zara noticed how Reyna had positioned herself between the ambassador and any potential threat, despite having just proven that she didn't need conventional weapons to be lethal. The package contains evidence of illegal genetic manipulation, Zara admitted, her colors shifting to subtle violets of concern. Someone has been experimenting with combining traits from multiple species, creating hybrids that shouldn't be possible. Reyna's eyes narrowed as pieces clicked into place. Like warriors who look like drachnids but don't have their sonic resistance. That's not just illegal, it's potentially destabilizing to the entire galactic power structure. Another explosion rocked the tunnel behind them, but this one was different, more powerful than the sonic mapping pulses. Their pursuers had switched to conventional weapons, apparently abandoning all pretense of subtlety. They're getting desperate, Reyna observed, scooping up several promising rocks as they ran. Good. How is their desperation good? Zara's form flickered with confusion. Because desperate people make mistakes, Reyna explained, her voice carrying that peculiarly human mix of tension and excitement. And I'm counting on them making a big one very soon. As if in answer to her prediction, the tunnel ahead of them suddenly blazed with plasma fire. More false drachnids had cut off their escape route. They were trapped between two groups of heavily armed attackers in an unstable tunnel system that was growing more volatile by the second. Zara's crystalline form pulsed with what she knew would be her species' equivalent of resigned acceptance. I suppose this is where you have another impossible human solution. Reyna's answering smile was fierce and wild. Ambassador, making the impossible possible is practically humanity's job description. The Nexus station hung like a jeweled spider's web against the backdrop of the Carina Nebula, its crystalline spires reflecting the cosmic light show. In the shadows of the station's maintenance sector, Reyna Blackwood studied the security patrol patterns while Zara's crystalline form dimmed to near invisibility beside her. 7 patrols, rotating in synchronized patterns, Reyna murmured, her dark eyes tracking the movement of guards through the transparent sections of the station's hull. But they're too perfect, too precise. Like the false drachnids, Zara observed, her voice barely a whisper of harmonic frequencies. Following programmed patterns rather than adaptive protocols. Their escape from Helios Prime had led them here, to the largest trading hub in the galactic arm. The genetic manipulation evidence was only part of a larger conspiracy, one that reached into the highest levels of multiple species governments. The research lab is in the high-security wing, Zara continued, her form shifting slightly to project a holographic map through her crystalline structure. Dr. Vex is the only one who can verify the genetic markers in my evidence package. Reyna's lips curved in that now familiar expression that meant she'd spotted something others had missed. Look at the waste reclamation tubes, she pointed to a seemingly innocent part of the station's infrastructure. They're cycling too fast for the station's current population. Zara's colors shifted in realization. They're using them to move something. Or someone. And that's how we're getting in. Reyna pulled a small device from her pocket, one of many she'd crafted from scavenged parts during their journey. Those tubes are meant to handle biological waste. Want to bet they never thought to scan for silicon-based life forms. Understanding dawned in Zara's crystalline matrix. You want me to go through the recycling system? While I create a distraction, Reyna confirmed, already preparing more of her improvised tools. Your crystalline structure can withstand the pressure, and you'll be virtually invisible to their organic focus sensors. And what will you be doing? Reyna's grin turned predatory. What humans do best, causing chaos with primitive tools. The plan unfolded with precision born of desperation. Zara slipped into the reclamation system, her crystalline form adapting to the pressure changes while Reyna set her distraction in motion. The human had somehow turned common maintenance supplies into a series of cascading system failures that sent the two perfect security teams scrambling. Zara emerged into the research sector just as the first explosion rocked the station. Through the transparent walls, she watched in amazement as Reyna led the security teams on a wild chase, using nothing but improvised devices and the station's own systems against them. "Quite impressive, isn't it?" a new voice purred from the shadows. Dr. Vex stepped into view, his feline features arranged in an expression of scholarly interest. "How humans can achieve so much with so little." "You knew we were coming," Zara's colors shifted to warning patterns. Of course, Vex gestured to a bank of monitors showing various scenes from across the station, including Reyna's ongoing game of cat and mouse with security. "Your evidence package threatens years of careful work. Did you really think I wouldn't monitor every potential ally who could verify it? The genetic experiments were yours. Mine." Vex laughed softly. "I merely perfect what nature has already begun. Humans proved it's possible, such rapid evolution, such perfect adaptation to any challenge. My work simply accelerates the process for other species." Another explosion shook the station, closer this time. On the monitors, Reyna had somehow turned the station's cargo loading system into an obstacle course that was systematically eliminating her pursuers. "Fascinating," Vex mused, watching the display. No genetic enhancements, no cybernetic augmentation, just pure human ingenuity. Imagine what we could learn from their genetic code. "You're insane," Zara's crystalline form pulsed with revulsion. "The genetic stability of dozens of species will be improved." Vex snarled, his scholarly demeanor cracking. "Look at your human friend. In less than a century, they've matched achievements that took other species millennia. Why? Because their evolution demanded adaptability above all else. My work will give that gift to everyone." The lab's doors burst inward as Reyna finally arrived, her dark skin gleaming with sweat and her eyes alive with the thrill of the hunt. She held what appeared to be a makeshift weapon cobbled together from station equipment. "Sorry I'm late," she said, not sounding sorry at all. "Had to take the scenic route." Vex security drones emerged from concealed panels, surrounding them with weapons charged. The feline scientist's smile returned, confident in his superior numbers and technology. "Perfect timing," he purred. "I was just explaining to your crystalline friend how humans like you are the key to everything. Your genetic structure, your adaptability. Once I understand how your species achieved such perfect evolution, I can replicate it across the galaxy." Reyna's expression shifted to something Zara had never seen before, not the fierce joy of combat or the calculating focus of planning, but something almost like pity. "That's the problem with you self-proclaimed geniuses," she said, subtly adjusting her stance. "You think evolution has a goal, an endpoint. But humans didn't evolve to be perfect." Her grip tightened on her improvised weapon. "We evolved to survive. No matter what." The next few moments would be added to station security training videos for years to come, not that they would help. Because the one thing no security system could ever adequately prepare for was human ingenuity combined with desperate determination. The Grand Assembly Hall of Nexus Station sparkled like a galaxy unto itself, crystalline chandeliers casting prismatic light across the gathered representatives of 100 worlds. Reyna Blackwood stood at Zara's shoulder, her improvised weapon now concealed within what appeared to be a ceremonial staff. The evidence of Dr. Vex's genetic experiments was safely transmitted to key allies, but the real challenge was just beginning. "The Council recognizes Ambassador Zara," the chief arbiter's voice resonated through the hall, their amorphous form shifting colors in formal patterns. "You claim to have evidence of illegal genetic manipulation on a massive scale." Zara's crystalline form caught and refracted the light as she moved to the central platform. The same properties that had allowed her to navigate the station's waste recycling system now turned her into a living prism, commanding attention from every species present. Not just manipulation, Zara's harmonics filled the chamber. But forced evolution, genetic theft, and the creation of hybrid soldiers designed to destabilize galactic peace. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. On the upper tier, Reyna noticed several representatives shifting uncomfortably. Not everyone implicated in Vex's schemes had been caught in the lab raid. These are serious accusations, a Drachnid representative rumbled. Where is this supposed architect of corruption? This Dr. Vex. Currently enjoying the hospitality of station security, Reyna spoke up, her voice carrying that peculiarly human mix of casual confidence and underlying steel. Along with several of his hybrid soldiers. Interesting thing about artificial evolution, it tends to miss the subtle adaptations. Like certain species' resistance to sonic feedback. The Drachnid's compound eyes flickered with barely suppressed rage. More whispers spread through the assembly as connections were made. The failed assassination attempt on Helios Prime hadn't just been about silencing Zara, it had been a field test for the hybrid soldiers. The human speaks out of turn, another representative objected, their bioluminescent tentacles pulsing with indignation. And what evidence supports these wild claims? Zara's form shifted, projecting the genetic data through her crystalline matrix. Complex helical patterns danced in the air, showing the unmistakable markers of artificial manipulation. Dr. Vex believed he could control evolution itself, she explained, her harmonics taking on a darker tone. He saw humanity's rapid advancement as proof that species could be forcibly adapted. But he failed to understand a crucial truth about human evolution. We didn't evolve to be controllable, Reyna added, her dark eyes scanning the assembly. We evolved to be unpredictable. To find solutions where none should exist. Like turning maintenance tools into weapons, or waste systems into infiltration routes. The chamber erupted in overlapping arguments. Some representatives demanded immediate action, while others called for further investigation. And in the chaos, Reyna noticed several figures slipping toward the emergency exits. Zara, she murmured, shifting her grip on the staff. We've got runner. 3 months after the dramatic events at Nexus Station, Reyna Blackwood stood at the observation window of the research vessel Adaptation, watching the swirling atmosphere of a gas giant paint purple streamers across the void. Behind her, Zara's crystalline form processed data from their latest investigation into Vex's abandoned laboratories. Another dead end, Zara's harmonics carried notes of frustration. The genetic sequences are degrading too quickly without constant maintenance. Whatever Vex was planning for this facility, it died with his arrest. Not necessarily, Reyna turned from the window, her dark eyes gleaming with that look that meant she'd spotted something others had missed. The sequences aren't degrading randomly. They're reverting. Zara's colors shifted in realization as she re-examined the data. Back to their original patterns. The artificial evolution is undoing itself. Because that's what life does, Reyna moved to the holographic display, her fingers tracing the spiraling genetic patterns. It finds its own path. Vex tried to force evolution to follow his blueprint, but he never understood that adaptation isn't about reaching some perfect end state. It's about surviving change. Zara completed the thought, her crystalline structure resonating with understanding. Like humans throwing rocks at elite warriors, or turning waste systems into infiltration routes. Exactly. Real evolution isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming resilient. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent signal from the ship's AI. Multiple vessels dropping out of hyperspace, the artificial voice reported. Energy signatures matched known hybrid ships from Vex's program. How many? Reyna was already moving, her body shifting seamlessly into combat readiness. 7. They're launching fighters. Zara's form pulsed with alert patterns. The last of his loyal experiments, coming to either rescue or avenge their creator. Or both. Reyna's hands flew over the control panels, bringing up tactical displays. They must have been tracking our investigations, waiting for us to get far enough from populated space. The hybrid ships moved with unnatural precision, their formations too perfect to be natural. Like their creators, they sought control through perfection rather than adaptation. We're outnumbered, Zara observed, though her tone held more curiosity than fear. And they're blocking our retreat vectors. Reyna's answering smile was fierce and wild. Then it's a good thing we're not going to retreat. She pointed to the gas giant filling their view. How do you feel about a little atmospheric diving? What followed was a masterclass in why humanity's unpredictability made them both feared and admired across the galaxy. Reyna took their research vessel, a ship never designed for combat, and turned the gas giant's turbulent atmosphere into a weapon. She used pressure differentials like slingshots, radiation belts like smoke screens, and the planet's powerful magnetic field to play havoc with the hybrid ship's two perfect targeting systems. Their problem, Reyna explained as she wove their ship through another impossible maneuver, is that they're fighting like machines. All mathematics and prediction algorithms. While you're fighting like a human, Zara added, her crystalline form channeling power to where it was needed most. Making it up as you go along. Not entirely, Reyna grinned, spinning them through a particularly violent storm cell. I've got a plan. Sort of. Of course you do, Zara's colors shifted in what had become her version of fond exasperation. Would you care to share it? Instead of answering, Reyna drove their ship deeper into the gas giant's atmosphere. The hybrid vessels followed, their perfect formation beginning to waver under the intense pressures. Warning alerts filled the bridge as their ship groaned under forces it was never meant to endure. Reyna, Zara's harmonics took on an urgent tone, hull integrity is approaching critical levels. Just a little deeper, Reyna's focus was absolute, her hands dancing across controls as she pushed their vessel to its theoretical limits and beyond. They're so focused on predicting our moves, they're not seeing the real threat. The realization hit Zara just as their pursuers reached the critical depth. The hybrid ship's artificially enhanced systems, designed for peak performance in normal conditions, couldn't adapt quickly enough to the extreme pressures. One by one, their hulls buckled and their perfect formations dissolved into chaos. You knew their enhanced systems would be their weakness, Zara's form pulsed with admiration as they watched the hybrid ships retreat, their perfect evolution proving less resilient than natural adaptation. Like Vex, they thought evolution was about becoming stronger, faster, more perfect. Reyna began their ascent back to safer altitudes. But Earth taught us different lessons. Sometimes survival isn't about being the strongest, it's about being able to bend without breaking. As they emerged from the gas giant's atmosphere, Zara's crystalline form caught the light of the system's star, sending rainbow refractions dancing across the bridge. Is that why humans are so good at improvising? Because you evolved to bend? We evolved to survive, Reyna corrected gently. Everything else, the improvisation, the adaptability, the tendency to throw rocks at problems we shouldn't be able to solve, that's just how we learn to do it. The ship's AI announced that the hybrid vessels had fled into hyperspace, their perfect evolution proving no match for human unpredictability combined with alien insight. But both Reyna and Zara knew this wasn't truly the end. Somewhere out there, more of Vex's experiments waited to be discovered and dealt with. You know, Zara said as they set course for their next destination, when I first saw you take down those elite warriors with nothing but rocks, I thought I was witnessing something impossible. And now? Now I understand that impossible is just another word for something humans haven't improvised their way through yet. Reyna laughed, the sound filling the bridge with warmth. Maybe that's humanity's real gift to the galaxy. Not our genetics or our adaptability, but the simple truth that nothing is impossible if you're willing to evolve, to change, to find new ways forward. Together, Zara added, her crystalline form glowing with conviction. Together, Reyna agreed, already plotting their next adventure. Because that was another lesson humanity had learned well, the best evolution, the best adaptation, came not from standing alone, but from working together, combining strengths, and facing the unknown with both wisdom and wonder. The research vessel, Adaptation, disappeared into hyperspace, carrying its human and crystalline crew toward whatever challenges awaited. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, life continued its endless dance of change and growth, proving that the best evolution was not the kind you could control, but the kind you could only embrace and learn from.